Our first speaker is the dynamic duo of Exxat, our CEO, Aarti Vaishnav, and Kunal Vaishnav. They don't need an introduction. We'll just give them a big round of applause and invite them over.
Good morning. It's nice to see so many familiar faces today. I think I know almost every one of you, so it's great. It's also a testament of how long we have come in our journey as a company. So Aarti and I are both thrilled to be here this morning and talk about the future of Exxat, how far have we come, and what the next few years will hold for Exxat. But first of all, before I go into the discussion this morning, I wanted to say a quick thanks to my Exxat team. They have been absolutely fabulous in planning this event. They have been with us since day one when this company started. So to my Exxat team, you have my thanks. Thank you. To my clients, to all our clients, thank you for trusting us, believing in us, from our first client who took a chance on us to our 1,000th client this year. All of you have trusted and believed in us, and for all of that, we are very, very thankful to all of you. We also remember one of our colleagues this morning, Beck Rothke. Some of you had the distinct pleasure of working with him as one of your PTCSRs. He unfortunately passed away earlier this year, and we remember him this morning too. I know that he's listening in to this conference and cheering from us from wherever he is. So a lot of you have come to us and asked, Kunal and Aarti, what is Cohere? How did you guys come up with the name Cohere, right? Of all of the things, what does Cohere signify, right? So when we started to do this annual conferences a few years ago, we wanted to put together a name and a word that signifies the collective power of all of us. So what Cohere really means is the sum is greater than the parts, right? It is even more true today than ever before. We now work with 1,000 different clients across 60 different specialization and disciplines. And I guarantee you, one discipline is not the same as other. When we started with physical therapy, occupational therapy, physician assistant programs, they gave us a lot of learnings. But now that we are venturing out into nursing and speech and athletic training and social work and all of these different disciplines, they are teaching us quite a bit. So our ethos as a company always has been is how do we bring together the best practices and how do we make sure the power of the community comes together. So over the next 2 days, we have designed an agenda and a session that allows you not only to listen to us and the guest speakers, but more importantly, learn from each other. Right? That's one of the things that we have consistently heard in terms of the last few Coheres, is not only everyone enjoyed the agenda and the content and the presentation, there was a lot of seeding of ideas and germination of ideas that everyone got from each other. So we are very excited for that also. We are also, today marks a very important day for me personally. There are some fabulous announcements that we have going on later today that I have been waiting on for the past 5 years. I have been asking Aarti to work on it for the past 5 years, and finally, we are about to launch a few products that in my mind will position Exxat and make your work that much more easier, not only from a school perspective, but the solution that we are about to launch from a clinical side of things, which Brooke and Aarti will talk about later today. So today, Exxat completes the ecosystem, right? So the announcements and everything that will follow, you will see how we are positioning ourselves for that. It's been an interesting journey over the past 10 years. So a lot of us ask, when did Aarti and Vaibhav start Exxat? So in 2011 is when Aarti and Vaibhav started Exxat. That is when Anushka, our kid, was still in kindergarten. And now this year, she has gone to college in Boston, right? So as Anushka has progressed, so has Exxat. But it's great to be back where all of this started. We started our first conference in Baltimore in 2015. In 2015, when we had the first conference, we had less than 10 clients with us, mostly in physical therapy and occupational therapy. And I think we had, 1/10 of this room, where we all got together and talked about the future of Exxat, our products and solutions. And over the years, as we have grown as a company, we also tried to adapt Cohere along the way. The last Cohere we had was right before COVID in 2019. So all of you who came to Jersey City, first of all, you guys will all remember where we were at that point in time. And after that, obviously everyone knows what happened in the industry, right? COVID hit, and everyone had to adapt. So did Exxat. But one of the things that has stood by us over all of these years is ensuring that we don't forget what has built us all these years. We want to make sure that wherever we progress, whatever we do, we keep you, our customer, in mind always. So all of our products, services, everything is designed with you guys. In 2018, we actually did 2 Coheres, one in Anaheim for PA and one in Jacksonville for PT, right? So we tried to experiment with saying, hey, should we just do discipline-specific Coheres? But at that point of time, a lot of the feedback was, hey, we not only love to hear what's happening in our profession, but we'd love to hear what's happening in the industry and this entire space. So since after 2018, we went back to having one single user conference similar to today. I'm glad to report that today we have 205 attendees across 15 different disciplines represented amongst all of you there. So as we have grown, the number of disciplines and spaces we have grown too, and they continue to encourage and allow us to scale in all of these areas. As I mentioned, it's been an interesting decade of innovation and growth from us. From one client in 2013, there's always a debate in terms of who our first client was. There's always a healthy debate between USC and Chapman in terms of who the first client was. While Aarti and Vaibhav were working at USC, the first deployment that happened was at Chapman University's PT program there. So from one client in 2013 to now 1,000 different programs who work with us there. And I'll tell you, every single program is different. One PT program is not the same as another PT program. One undergraduate nursing program is not the same as another undergraduate nursing program, right? So we learn from each of you there. We have branched into non-clinical disciplines also along the way. So we not only work with PT, OT, but we also work with non-clinical spaces, counseling, teacher education, social work, right? So all of those disciplines also teach us. Right? When one of our first non-clinical programs joined us in 2018, 2019, we had to first sit down and understand what it is to serve a non-clinical program too. So now the PRISM portfolio that Aarti and team will talk about today is really an amalgamation of all of the learnings over the years for us. Not only has our client footprint grown, we have also grown in terms of the number of headcounts of people. One of the things that Aarti and team decided from day one, we want to make sure that we always keep you guys, our customer, in mind. So we have a very big India operations team who work with you day in, day out to help you manage your support tickets, to help you manage your product questions. And so as we have grown in terms of client footprint, I'm happy to note that we now have 325 plus people in India who work with you day in, day out to support all of your operations. We actually have a QR code. So one of our advisors, Dr. Arvind Babri, who is here with us, has been with us over the past 10 years, and he has chronicled Exxat's journey in a HBR article, a Harvard Business Review article. So if any one of you is interested in reading about our journey, you guys can scan the QR code, and there's an HBR article which starts to talk a little bit more about how Exxat was started, what are some of the decisions that Aarti and team had to make when some of the initial customers came to us, and what are some of the problems and issues that we are trying to solve for you as a customer today. This is one of the slides that keeps me up at night. And you can see why. So if anyone knows any program in Wyoming, or can create a new developing program in Wyoming, come find me. This also is one of the reasons why Aarti and I packed our bags and moved from California to East Coast right before COVID hit. Right? As you can see, a lot of our clients are on the East Coast, so we wanted to make sure that we also pay a lot of attention to our growing business and development life cycles on the East Coast. But as you can see, we have grown quite a bit across the nation. And this map represents the depth and breadth of our offerings in each of the states there. What we have also seen over the past few years is Exxat has gone from becoming a point solution from one single program to becoming an enterprise level solution for a lot of universities itself there. So in 2017 and 2018, I got approached by Thomas Jefferson with the provost there, and she said, hey Kunal, I know you work with PT already, but can you work with other disciplines that are in TJU? And I'm like, sure. See, one of the things you guys will know about me is probably I'll say yes first. My team hates it. They always, my advisors tell me, my team tells me, you need to stop saying yes to everything. Maybe I'll learn someday. But when the initial enterprise level implementation came through, it was a challenge for us because what we had to do is pivot in terms of our product offerings and say, hey, from a DCE, from a clinical coordinator perspective, now if we have to serve the deans of the schools, the provost of the schools, what are some of the informations that we will have to build in the systems, right? What are some of the reports that we will have to build in the platform? So we have really gone from having a one single program in 2013, 2014, to all of the schools now adopting us enterprise-wide. So Thomas Jefferson, we are in 29 different disciplines across 2,500 plus students. We just had Northern Arizona University adopt us across both of their campuses, UTA, Oregon Health Science University, Stockton in New Jersey, right? So the exact story also has evolved. And the reason I wanted to put this slide up is Exxat is just now not a single program solution. One of the things that keeps Aarti and team up at night is, as these different disciplines are using the system, what is the information that they want to look out of this platform? We are focusing very heavily, and my team will talk about over the next 2 days, how we are going to leverage the power of data in Exxat to provide you more meaningful insights and solutions along the way.
Thank you, Kunal. Yeah. So I did want to talk about how the healthcare educational environment is changing. But before I talk about that, the whole journey that Kunal has been talking about from 2013, 2011 to now, I don't take it for granted even one day. Like looking at all of you here and seeing the trust that you guys put in us, it's so gratifying. And I'm so, so blessed to be able to work with all you educators. And my team will often say, Aarti, you work really long hours, you're always on the call, you're always doing this, you're always messaging. But I don't think I could have worked this hard for 10 years if we were working in any other discipline other than education. We have so much respect for what you guys do. The commitment that you have to provide really good education to your students is just so refreshing to see, and it's such a big need of the country today that we are so blessed to be able to do our small part in helping you with your missions and visions for each of your universities. So very, very thankful for everyone here. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and pinch myself. Is this real? Do we really have 1,000 schools using PRISM? And of course, we don't get everything right all the time. We will have learnings to do. We'll sometimes do something that doesn't work. We'll change it. We'll tweak it. We have an amazing team. Like Kunal was saying, we have 320 people in India. We have 20 people in the US. We have an amazing team of people who are dedicated morning, evening, night. Sometimes if you walk into an Exxat conference room, you will see heated debates about, no, the PT domain does it this way and we have to have the screen do this, and no, but nursing does it this way and we want to do this, and it's team of dedicated people who want to do right by you. And I'm so, so, so grateful to be able to work with all of them. And so grateful to be working in the healthcare education space with all of you. So thank you for everything, and thank you for the commitment and the support that you guys have provided. And the whole 10 years of Exxat, we have worked single-mindedly with thinking and trying to understand what can Exxat do, what kind of solutions can we provide to make the life of the school users easy. The school faculties, the users, the administrators, the DCEs, what can we do? What do they need? So initially we started with clinical education, then we looked into curriculum mapping, then we looked at compliance. So anything and everything that was around or adjacent to what the clients and were struggling with on a day-to-day basis, we tried to automate that, and we tried to provide efficient ways of handling that. But like Kunal was saying, it is not enough just to look at what is it that you guys have to do in your school. The entire healthcare educational space or the entire health educational industry is changing, and we need to be able to respond to that. So we do have presentations later in the day today and tomorrow that are going to talk about what's changing at the health science clinics, what's changing in the hospitals, what's changing in the clinics, and how are you guys having to adopt to those changes. But since, in a short, I'll try to recap it now, and then we'll discuss it more in detail later, but ever since the Affordable Care Act was introduced in the market, so many more people have access to healthcare, which means that there is a crisis of healthcare providers. And all of you have been working really hard to expand your footprint of students, opening new campuses, new schools are opening, and you're trying to meet that healthcare need in the market. That's one thing that has changed. The other thing that has changed is insurance, whether we like it or not, has become the big gorilla in the room. And a lot of small clinics are not able to keep up with their practice. They're not able to negotiate good rates for their insurance payments, etc. And a lot of them are selling their practices to bigger institutions. Which means all the relationships that you guys had with the clinic down the street, all of that has changed. And now you're not just sending a student to a clinic down the street that has always taken 3 students for you for the last 15 years. Now you're dealing with somebody at the corporate office that owns the responsibility of clinical education across 300 different locations, and you are competing with all other schools that are trying to send their students out as well. So everything has changed. It used to all be about relationships. And when it was about relationships, the same DCE had sent their students to the same clinics again and again, and that was a different world, and now we live in a different world. And I got a quick reminder of how relationships change and how things do. When I walked into the morning, somebody said, "Hello, Sheetal, hello, Brooke, oh, hello, whoever you are." And I realized how much life had changed and how much Exxat had changed over time. When we first started the company, I would go visit every school, try to pitch the product, sit there with them for 2 days in their office, trying to understand, okay, show me how you are placing your students, what happens, walk me through everything. And so I knew all of my clients, I knew their kids, I knew their spouses, I knew everything about them. And now, Kunal is the one who works with all the clients, and I work with all my tech teams. So there are so many new faces in the room for me. And the best, easiest introduction these days is, yeah, I'm Kunal's wife. So yeah, so things change. Things change from me knowing each client so well to now knowing them through Kunal. But that's the same thing that's happening to Exxat is happening to you guys, where you knew your DCE, you knew your SCCEs and your site coordinators, and you could easily pick up the phone and send a student there, no problem. And now that doesn't work that way. So we're trying to figure out what it is that we can do to help bring this ecosystem together, and what can we do to facilitate still being able to efficiently do clinical education with all of you. So last year, Exxat helped the PT domain that sends out all their slot solicitation emails on one single day in the year, March 1st. We sent out 80,000 emails last year on behalf of all the PT schools. And it's great that Exxat allows you to, with a few clicks, send out all these emails to all your clinical sites. But now imagine being on the side of the clinical sites where they're receiving hundreds of emails from all the schools. And so anyway, so we'll dig into the deeper, we'll look at more specific scenarios and ways in which we are helping with the changing economy and the changing healthcare space. But a little bit more about some of our legacy programs. So when we started Exxat and we launched the ClinEd program, we had clients who would talk to us about their needs for curriculum management. And I was so nervous to touch anything in the ClinEd space when I started to understand what curriculum management was. We did not integrate that. We made a different product, and I said, okay, let me learn about this separately. Then when we learned about compliance, we created a separate product for that, etc. Contract management, a separate product for that, because we were too scared to touch what we had going for clinical education. But as we have learned over time that these things are not different. You put in your students once, you put in your faculty information once, you put in your course information once, and you want all of these things to talk to each other. You anyways have hundreds of logins to different systems. We didn't want you to have different products within Exxat. So over the last few years, we've been working on Prism, and today majority of our clients have moved and migrated to Prism. And that the big difference between Prism and all our products in the past is that in Prism, everything talks to each other. And it's all integrated. So you don't have to put in your faculty twice, your courses twice, your students twice. They're all in there, and it works with each other. Did we get everything right in Prism from day one? No. Did we get all your migrations done easily? No. But there were certain things that I was not going to compromise on. When we sat down, today it costs a lot more to buy Prism than it did in the past. But we would have, we have two advisors actually in the back, Arvind Bhamri and Mike Salfiti. They advise me on how to run the company, what to do, how to make the strategic decisions, etc. And when we started building Prism, it was more expensive. It's a modern platform, lots of infrastructure cost. We host it on Microsoft Cloud, so you can access it from anywhere, etc., etc. Very complicated, very back-end intensive system, and of course it costs more to do that. So we had this debate about how are we going to price the product. And today, if you want to buy Prism, it's going to cost people a lot more money. But I put my foot down and I said, we are not going to change the cost of using our product for existing customers. That's just not going to happen. Yes, we'll adjust for inflation, and there will be a small fee a small increment every year for renewals and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. If I sold somebody steps for $1,000 a year, they're going to keep using it for $1,000 a year. They can move to Prism and they don't have to change their pricing. So that was our way to thank the people who had put in their trust with Exxat when we didn't have 1,000 clients to show what we are capable of doing or what we are doing with other schools, etc., etc. So that kind of commitment. There are two things that our advisors hate, but I don't change that as easily. One is how do I price the product? And the other is that anybody, if they start working with Exxat and they're not happy with the way the product is working, or they feel like they did make the right decision or whatever, I never want to hold them accountable for their contract duration. So you can have a 3-year contract that guarantees your price and your rate and everything with Exxat, but anytime you decide this is not the right product for you, you can walk away from Exxat. We'll refund you, we will cancel your contract at no cost, whatever. Whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that as all the people who are working with Exxat are working with Exxat because they want to work with Exxat and not because they have to work with Exxat. And a lot of times my team or my finance advisors and others will say, you don't have to do this, you're being just like, you're trying to do this for your clients and that's whatever. But in fact, I'm not doing it for all of you. As much as I love you and I want to do right by you, this decision that you guys can walk away from Exxat anytime you want is not really for you. It's for my team. I never want my team to work with clients who would rather not work with us. Right? So that's my best gift. I know all Exxat team members work really, really hard to do their best job for all of you. And they don't deserve to work with people who have to work with Exxat. They deserve to work with people who want to work with Exxat. And just like all of us have a lot of learning to do, we don't always get everything right in our first attempt, but I want to tell you that there is no other company who is as obsessed about clinical education as we are, no other company that is as obsessed about getting it right for all of you as we are. And so if you work with us, we promise to do our best to, like always, get you the best solution that we are able to do. And we keep learning. We keep learning, we keep evolving, like what Kunal was saying, the 60 domains that we work with. There's so much we have learned from nursing that we've now brought into the product and other programs can use it. There is so much we've learned from social work, so much we've learned from speech that we keep bringing back into the product. And that's the other really good thing about Prism is it's not domain specific, it's domain agnostic. So you have 5 ways of doing a wish list and you choose what type of wish list you want to do. There are 5 ways of doing placements and you just choose how you want to do it. So whatever we are learning from these different domains, we are bringing it back to you and we're making it as an option for you. So for example, in PT, you don't really ask your students, or in OT, you may not ask your students where they want to go for their clinical placement. But in nursing, schools do ask their students to go find their clinical placement and then put it in the system and then they process it. So in the old version, we had this feature really only working for the nursing team. But then we came in, started talking to some of the schools and they said, wait, for some of our terminal rotations, if a student wants to go out of area, we do let them put in a request and we will process that. So yeah, we may not use it 100% for all our rotations, but it would be great to be able to like see all that request in one place and then be able to check it off and process it. And had we not worked with nursing, we would have never developed a solution for that. But now that we do, we could now offer it to everybody. So we are learning from all these disciplines and trying to bring best practices into the product for all of you and trying to do the best. And I apologize for all the stress, everything that people have had to go through for their migration. If I had to get everybody to do their re-migration, I would do it differently. But thank you. Thank you for your patience and thank you for sticking with us through this journey. And I'm hoping this will just keep making it better and better. There are a lot of new things that we want to work on in addition to what we've already been doing, and competency management and support for your academic committees, etc., is something we want to bring into Prism over the next couple of quarters and months. And so this is what I was mentioning earlier is when Exxat started, we had hyper focus on what do schools need, what do students need. We didn't even know, because we started with PT and OT, we didn't even know that a faculty user needed to have a login into the system, and they had a very different role to play. Not all faculty have the responsibility of clinical placements, but the faculty help with site assessments, or they can help with managing the learning activities of the students, or in undergraduate nursing, that faculty actually goes to the hospital with the students, etc. And faculty can have a very, very different responsibility and a role to play. So we didn't know that back in 2013, but we know that now. And so with PRISM, there is a separate faculty module that gives them that streamlined view of what faculty are supposed to do with the product. Similarly, today, preceptors and clinical sites don't have a login in the system. And a lot of time they like that feature, because if a preceptor is only going to work with 1 or 2 students in a year, they really don't need to remember one more login and have that problem of trying to like reset passwords and stuff like that. But there are preceptors who take students month after month, semester after semester. There are some preceptors and some schools, sites that would actually like a login so that all the information is in one place. And again, they were not stakeholders that we had done anything for in the past. They would get an email from Exxat, they would click on it and do their job, and it was like a call to action type of a thing. But now we are kind of extending the support for them and creating an optional login. So they can still do their work without login, but if they do choose to log in, they want to see their hours that they've spent with the student, or they want to go back and refer to how they worked with a particular student, etc. They should always be able to do that. So Kunal will talk more about it later in the day. But again, as I said, migration was a big activity that we did this year. Almost everybody is migrated onto PRISM now. We have less than 200 clients that are still using the legacy system now, and we will over the next couple of quarters move them also to PRISM. This allows us to, again, there is no cost for moving to PRISM, but this allows us to have our team focus on one platform. And all the tickets, all the agents, everybody is focusing on one platform, and we can raise our service for you. If our team has to be split up into multiple different versions and multiple different products, it's really difficult to keep up the quality of support for all of you. So that's that. Kunal, you want to talk about the advisory board?
Yeah. Before I go into the advisory board, I just wanted to talk about, hey, I think Aarti mentioned this, but the Exxat team, every single morning, they wake up with a singular focus. Is how do we continue to keep you guys in the middle of everything that we do? It's very apparent in the passion that Aarti displays this morning, but every single Exxat member, every single support ticket that we get from all of you, every single enhancement request we get in PRISM, everything that we get is catered around how do we make your lives easier. Now, over the years, as Exxat has evolved, as I mentioned, we have grown in terms of the breadth and depth of our offerings and the disciplines that we serve. So for the very first time this year, we have constituted a client advisory board. The client advisory board is going to help us in a couple of things. First of all, it's going to be our sounding board. So the advisory board is essentially a mixture of folks from multiple disciplines, because what we want to do is essentially bring together a cauldron of people who can say, hey, this is how you're thinking of it from a PT perspective, but you need to bring in other disciplines, thought process inside the product too, right? So they're going to advise us on the product side of things. They're also going to help us think about the future of this industry and say, what are they listening out in the field? What are the requirements of your clinical side partners? Where is this industry headed towards, right? So we have chosen together a group of people who are part of our initially advisory board. We'll obviously have more people join the advisory board next year. So if you guys have been working with us and would love to collaborate with us on the advisory board, we would love to have you and become part of this next year also. But as you can see, it's a very eclectic group of people from nursing to PA to PT, OT, speech. We have folks from nutrition, and Colonel Khan will talk about her competency management, right? But when we went into nutrition earlier this year, they already have moved to competency-based education, that discipline, right? I know PT, OT, PA, nursing, and a lot of other disciplines are thinking about going to competency-based education. But this program, right, has really worked with us to say, what does Exxat need to do more in order to support programs who are moving to a CBE kind of a model? So we are, again, very thankful for our inaugural CAB members. You will also notice Kurt is on the team. Kurt represents our clinical site partner from ATI Physical Therapy, and Kurt will talk about how he's going to utilize the Exxat system over the next 1 year to bring his platform on Exxat there. Aarti will introduce the Exxat Board of Directors.
Arvind and Mike, sorry, can you please get up in the back so everybody can see you? Arvind. Arvind was Kunal and my strategy professor at USC when we got our MBA. And ever since that day, he has been supporting and teaching us and explaining how we can run the company well. And there is no way we would have been where we are today without his support and mentoring and guidance. So we are very, very thankful to him. And Arvind introduced us to Mike. Mike is a veteran in the IT space. He has worked with big companies like HP and Xerox, and we are extremely thrilled to have him on our board. He will tell me what he thinks I need to hear, then I need to hear it. But his guidance has also been amazing. Not only is he an advisor to the company, he's also an investor in the company. So a lot of you know, like IT companies will get venture funds, PE funds as investors. And Exxat has always shied away from that. We did not want to take institutional funding and then grow for the sake of growth. We have grown and we have needed resources and money to grow and support our growing teams and everything. But we've relied on friends and family for our investments. I've never been a champion of taking money for institutional things. Not that there is anything wrong with venture funds or PE firms. A lot of companies take money in Silicon Valley from them and grow really quickly and really fast. But one of the side effects that I have been worried about is if I take money from outside and I have to make changes or make decisions that are being made for the sake of growth, I'm not going to be able to sleep well at night. I would rather make decisions that are right for my clients and take the time it takes to learn the domains and learn the problems. And then once we learn the problem and master it, yes, we do want to grow, but we don't want to grow for the sake of growth, and we don't want to make decisions that would divert us from our process of learning and understanding our space, etc. So we've always shied away from PE firms. We do get a lot of interested PE firms wanting to invest in Exxat, but we don't do that. We don't go that route. And then when we need money, people like Mike, and I have a friend whose dad is a big investor. He's put all his retirement funds into the company. And every time I'm making a decision, I'm always so worried about, I want to do right by my clients. I want to do right by my team members. And I also want to do right by all the people who are putting their hard-earned money into Exxat. And that's the stress. So when I was getting ready for this discussion today, I was talking to my friend and I said, I'm so nervous. She's like, what? You talk about Exxat morning, evening, night for the last 10 years. What are you nervous about? And I said, no, I was really nervous about making sure that all the clients get what they need to get from the next day and a half at Exxat. They've spent a lot of money, come here, they have a lot of important things to do. If they're going to spend their time with us here, I want to make sure it's worth their time. And so that same thing is important for me when we are making decisions with other people's money, making decisions for you, just always wanting to make sure we do our best job. And as Kunal was saying, pandemic was not easy for all of you. You guys all had to learn how to do your work remotely, how to send your students. So many clinics got their rotations, they canceled their student placements, and you guys had to scramble to figure out how to do that, how to substitute simulation for when you were not able to send your students and make sure they don't get their graduation delayed because of ClinEd, et cetera, et cetera. So during COVID, all of you were in a lot of stress. But we were also under a lot of stress. As a CEO, I've learned a lot over the last 10 years, but during COVID was my hardest time. Like I said, we never took institutional money, so I never had money sitting in the bank where I could just pay the payroll month after month if we didn't keep getting the clients and the checks didn't keep flowing in. So when COVID hit and when India went into lockdown, US went into lockdown, and we didn't know what to expect, we were so worried. We were so worried about how we were going to make payroll. What if things change? What if clients are not able to send their checks in? What happens? And I was not going to quit or let any of my employees go. Like, I was not going to fire anybody during a pandemic. That was not an option for me, but we didn't have money to make payroll if we didn't get our cash checks coming in. So I was so worried. I had to get on a call. I was in the US, my team is back in India. I have to get on a call during the pandemic and tell everyone that, look, we want to stay together as a company. I don't want to let anyone go, but what if we don't have the money to make the payroll? I want the leadership to take a 75% pay cut. I want the middle managers to take a 50% cut, the next level to take a 25% cut, and the people who are making the least money with the company, they get no pay cut. They get their full salary. And that's how we are going to make sure that our cash lasts us longer. Kunal and I took no money out for those months, but we needed to make sure that we keep all our team together, and we do that. 2 months is what we did. We did this, where people didn't take their full salary out of Exxat. And thankfully, in 2 months, we realized that nothing in that case was changing. Our clients were still sending us their checks. We were still able to make all the payment. In fact, the need for a program like Exxat was even more, because everybody had to figure out how to work from home and in different places, etc. So within 2 months, we were able to repay all our employees their full salary, and we didn't have to let anybody go during the pandemic, which was the best part of surviving that last 3-4 years, but that was also the most difficult month for me as the CEO. And so we've all come together, all of us as family come together, and this journey has been really, really exciting, and we've learned so much from it, and these advisors have been so helpful in helping us figure out how to run the company. Before I started Exxat, I used to run a small IT team in USC with 5 people. So it's not like I was born with this understanding of how to manage a big team or how to sit in a boardroom and address my advisors and understand how to run this company or what decisions to make, but these people have been instrumental in helping Exxat get to where it is today. And then I'm very, very thrilled to announce our new leaders that we have brought into the company. Arun, Sonali, please get up, Brooke. Arun is the CTO, Sonali is our product lead, and Sagar is our HR person, and Brooke is going to work with Ashish is the director of operations, will work with Ashish and split the responsibility of all the clients there. And when I'm sitting, this may come as a surprise to my team, but when I'm sitting in a room with them and meeting and discussing and they're sharing their ideas with me, sometimes I'm like, how did I get this lucky? How did I get such smart people to come and work for Exxat? Like, they're phenomenal in how they can think and they can understand the problem that we might be struggling for so long, and then say, why don't you just do this? And I'm like, yeah, let's just do that. So I think I'm so thankful to be able to work with people who are much, much smarter than I am, and bringing all of that to work with to solve your problems for you. So Brooke will work with the nursing clients, and Ashish will work with all of the other clients to work to help you. There are presentations where we will go over these. And then these are the customer success representatives that work with you from India. They haven't been able to come here, but next year we hope to bring them in to meet with all of you. They're the ones who are making sure that you know how to use every button on the screen, how to do every option, how to run every report that you need, etc. And this year, Exxat, you want to talk about the awards? Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to go back from one slide. I just talk about a little bit of the shift that we are doing. So Aarti introduced the account managers. For those who have been with Exxat for the past, 7, 8 years, you will all have noticed that as a company, we also have evolved in the way that we do our trainings. For those of you who joined Exxat in 2015, 2016, 2017, all of you had US people dedicated to you from an onboarding perspective. A Beck, a Rocio, a Sierra Lawtons, folks like that, right? But over the past few years, as we have scaled, as a company, we have made a conscious decision is, look, we have our subject matter experts sitting here in US as account managers. So they will essentially become your point of contact in your program. They are not people who will just work with you in the onboarding piece and go away. They are the people dedicated to your account for the journey that you are with Exxat. So as you guys look at these people with Brooke heading nursing, and Sai and Jessica are somewhere here in the room, they have been working with you, and they will continue to work with you to make sure that the product works well for you from a nursing perspective. So all my nursing clients, they will work with you if you have any issues or escalations or tickets that are not getting resolved on time, or if you have an enhancement suggestion, they will become your first point of contact in terms of day-to-day issues. Similarly, Ashish has been working with me for the past 5 years now. Initially, what we used to happen is Ashish and his team used to work with every single client, right? Whether it be nursing or non-nursing. But as we have grown in the nursing space and we have realized that, nursing needs its own dedicated team. That's why we are siphoning off our account managers into what we're calling as a nursing specific team, and the dedicated folks of people who work with Ashish, Ashanda, Joanna, Ramya, and Taryn, who are all present in this room. They will work with you to ensure that all of your issues are heard, and they become the voice of customer to us, right? So their main job is to synthesize all of the feedback that we are hearing on the ground and give it back to the product teams, the operations teams, and everyone else to say, hey, this is what my customers need from a day in, day out perspective. The CSS, as Aarti mentioned, the CSS are your trainers, right? So the model that we have adopted, and all of these people are sitting in India here. So we wanted to make sure that so one of the things that we wanted to put special emphasis on is with Prism, there were 2 or 3 main guiding principles that we have created Prism with. One is make it more intuitive as compared to the legacy system. One of the biggest feedbacks I heard is there are a lot of steps in steps. Right? So one of the things that the team started with Prism is how do you reduce the number of clicks, right? So we wanted to make the process of learning much more easier in Prism. And Vishaka and her team are also putting a lot of emphasis in videos and help centers that she will talk about tomorrow. So our idea is the group of customer success specialists will work with you on your first 90 to 120 days when you're onboarding with Exxat. Whether you are a migrating program from Steps into Prism or a new client who's directly onboarding onto Prism, the combination of account management and CSS will work with you to ensure that you learn the best out of the product there. So that's the difference between your account manager and the CSS team. We also have a lot of, we were thrilled to also announce that we have received some industry recognition this year. So the India team now is certified Great Place to Work. We also have been recognized with certain awards this year in terms of innovation and the products, right? And again, this is just a testament to the evolution of us as a company over the past 10 years. All right, so before I hand it over to the next set of presenters, Aarti hinted at this, but we have a lot of interesting presentations over the next day and a half, right? We today are announcing products to complete the ecosystem. So what we will do is, in the next presentation, we will start talking a little bit about the site module. We will then introduce the student mobile app. In 2019, for those who were in the last Cohere, I stood up on the stage and said, hey, we're going to put the student mobile app in the next 6 months. Well, it took us 5 years to get to that. But now we are finally thrilled to announce a mobile app, which a lot of students have already found and started to use it on the system. So we will talk about what the mobile app will entail, and we'll have a few of our clients who have been piloting it, one from nursing, one from PT, come on stage and talk about their experiences of how students are reacting to the mobile app. We'll talk about the preceptor. When I say preceptor is a generic word I'm using, but everyone uses a different terminology. Your CIs, SCCEs, your fieldwork educators, preceptors. So we are launching a module specifically for them this morning. And in the afternoon, Sheetal and team will talk a little bit more about the approved service also and the offerings there too. So we have an exciting day planned, and let's get into the next discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aarti and Kunal, for that terrific kickoff presentation. Lots of information for you all to absorb. But we promise you that all the content that we are getting for you is going to keep you engaged.